Hello, I'm Kenny Lay of Kenny Lay and Associates. Our firm exclusively represents men in the area of family law. I'm here today with attorney Andrew Garrow, and we're going to talk about alimony. Andrew, can you give a brief explanation of what alimony is?
So alimony in a nutshell is another name for spousal support. It is when the court determines that one spouse should be paying towards the bills of the other spouse. That's
Okay.
kind of a brief summary.
All right, and I know there are several different forms of alimony. Let's go one by one. First of all, how is alimony usually determined?
So there's a lot of factors and nuance that go into it, but overall the court's going to look at, does the person requesting it have a financial need for the alimony?
Mm-hmm.
And does the person paying it have the financial ability to pay it? So they'll look at the incomes or income earning potential of each side, as well as the monthly expenses for each side.
Okay. The biggest alimony that everyone is afraid of is what is called permanent alimony. Could you please describe what permanent alimony is?
Sure. So permanent alimony is when the court can order alimony on a permanent basis, but in this instance, permanent doesn't always mean permanent.
Mm-hmm.
It could be until further order of the court.
It's modifiable.
It is modifiable. All
Okay.
these forms of alimony generally are modifiable.
Okay, well, how would you modify permanent alimony? What are the ways you can do it? Well, basically, we've established that permanent alimony can go on forever until death, but there are other ways that it stops. Give some examples of how it just automatically stops without having to modify it.
So the easiest way for it to stop would be if the spouse receiving alimony remarries.
Okay.
At that point, it will automatically stop. Also, you can go back to modify it if there's been a substantial change of circumstances.
Such as what?
So let's say you reach the normal retirement age
Mm-hmm.
and your income goes significantly down. That could be a basis to lower or terminate your alimony.
Okay. What if they live with somebody?
Another example, sometimes if the spouse receiving alimony is in a financially supportive relationship where they're splitting bills with someone else and living together, sometimes that can be used to modify it as well.
Okay. Again, another form of alimony that people are curious about is what is called rehabilitative alimony. What is that?
So that's a real specific type of alimony. It's kind of rare, but it's essentially when one spouse has been like a stay-at-home parent
Mm-hmm.
for the majority of the marriage. They haven't been in the workforce for a long time. So rehabilitative alimony is a type where that spouse can get back into the workforce after some training or classes and then hopefully be able to support themselves financially.
And that usually lasts approximately 2 years. It can last longer, but give or take.
It can vary. It depends on how long it will take them to get the necessary training they need.
Okay. Durational alimony is another form of alimony. What is durational alimony?
So durational alimony is a form that can be ordered up to, at most, the length of the marriage. So for
Okay.
instance, if you were married for 8 years, this alimony at most could be ordered up to 8 years, but it could be less than that, 4 years, 5 years, anything up to the max of
Okay.
the length of the marriage.
And all of those alimonies that we spoke of just now are all modifiable.
That's correct. Generally, these alimonies are modifiable. Again, going back to if there's ever a substantial change of circumstances.
It's not easy.
Right. It is not a easy hurdle to get over, but we can definitely help our clients and do on a frequent basis go back to lower or sometimes terminate their alimony obligation.
Okay, temporary alimony. What is that?
So when a divorce is filed, sometimes there's a lot of chaos on both sides. They don't know what's happening, who's going to pay what certain bills.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes the court can intervene while the divorce is pending and enter a temporary order to say, just on a temporary basis, until the divorce is done, this is how much alimony is going to be paid.
So that's during the divorce proceedings.
Correct.
Okay.
On a temporary basis.
Regarding tax consequences of alimony, tax laws vary, and so that needs to be. You need to speak with an accountant regarding tax consequences regarding your particular form of alimony. But essentially, alimony is based on need, ability to pay, and it is modifiable, provided you don't come to an agreement that makes it non-modifiable, which in most cases we would not recommend you to have that type of agreement. Anyway, I'm Kenny Lay of Kenny Lay and Associates. Our firm exclusively represents men in the area of family law.